I never told my wife's family I owned the Michelin-star restaurant they begged to book. To them, I was just an unemployed cook. At Thanksgiving, they mocked my food, so I texted my GM, cancel their reservation. The laughter stopped. Oh my God, this is absolutely vile. My sister-in-law Chloe spat a mouthful of gravy into my white linen napkin. The brown stain spread across the fabric like a Rorschach test of contempt. It tastes like actual dog food, she gagged, reaching for her wine. What is that smell? Like dirty socks mixed with motor oil? I'd been awake since 3:47 a.m. preparing Thanksgiving dinner, 16 hours of work. The heritage turkey had been dry brined for 72 hours with a custom blend I'd been perfecting for 3 years. The gravy, the thing she'd just spat into my napkin, was a truffle demi-glace that had cost me $847 in ingredients alone. It's truffle, Chloe, I said quietly, keeping my hand steady on my fork. She laughed, that harsh, braying sound that made me think of geese being strangled. Truffle? Truffle? She turned to the rest of the table. He thinks he can afford truffle. Alex, sweetheart, this is probably that cheap synthetic oil from the dollar store, the kind that smells like a gas station bathroom. It's disgusting. My mother-in-law Beatrice wrinkled her nose dramatically, pushing her plate away like I'd served her actual garbage. It does have a very funky odor, Alex. Did you perhaps use expired stock, or did you get the ingredients from one of those discount grocery stores? I gripped my fork, the silver pressed into my palm. Stay calm, just breathe. Maybe we should just order pizza, my wife Vanessa said, not even looking at me as she scrolled through her phone. I don't want to risk getting food poisoning before Étoile tonight. Étoile, the 3 Michelin-star restaurant they'd been talking about obsessively for 6 months. They had an 8 p.m. reservation for the tasting counter, 8 seats, 6-month waiting list, $675 per person before wine pairings, the crown jewel of their social calendar. Pizza! Yes! Chloe clapped her hands. At least that's edible. God, Alex, if you can't even make basic gravy, no wonder you can't hold down a job at the local diner. The table erupted in laughter. My brother-in-law Trevor grinned. Come on, Chloe, be nice. I'm sure Alex is trying his best with his little cooking hobby. They thought I was unemployed, a failed cook who dabbled in food but couldn't hack it in the real restaurant world, a house husband who burned through Vanessa's money while pretending to be some kind of culinary artist. They had absolutely no idea. Just stick to frozen dinners next time, Chloe said, inspecting her manicure. At least those have instructions even you can't mess up. Something inside me clicked, that quiet sound of a lock engaging. I stood up. The chair scraped against the hardwood floor. Where are you going? Chloe smirked. To cry in the bathroom? Maybe call your mommy? No, I said. I'm making a phone call. I pulled out my phone, put it on speaker, set it on the table. Calling your therapist? Beatrice asked, sipping her Bordeaux. Because honestly, Alex, this victim complex you have about your food is getting concerning. No, I'm calling my general manager. The room went quiet. The phone rang once. Good evening, chef, a voice answered. French accent, crisp and professional. Is everything all right? We weren't expecting to hear from the owner tonight. The silence at the table was deafening. Chef? Owner? Trevor's fork stopped halfway to his mouth. Philippe, I said, my voice calm, authoritative, the voice I used when running a kitchen with 43 people. I need you to access the reservation system. Tonight's reservations. 8 p.m. slot. Certainly, chef. One moment. Chloe stared at me like I'd grown a second head. Is this some kind of prank? This is pathetic, Alex. Really pathetic. I have it, chef, Philippe said. The Prescott party. Table 12 at the counter. Party of 6. The premium tasting experience. Chloe's face went white. How does he know my maiden name? That's the one, I said, staring directly at her. Cancel it. I'm sorry, chef. Could you repeat that? Cancel the reservation. And Philippe, flag them in the system. Blacklist the entire party from Étoile, Le Jardin Noir, Saffron and Sage, and the Copper Vine. Permanent ban. The table erupted. What? Chloe shrieked. Understood, chef, Philippe said, his tone shifting to steel. Reason for the ban? For the records? Abusive behavior toward culinary staff, I said, looking at the stained napkin. Lack of appreciation for craftsmanship. Conduct unbecoming of our establishment's standards. It is noted and executed, chef. The party has been blacklisted across all Obsidian Hospitality Group properties. Is there anything else? No, thank you, Felipe. Enjoy your evening. You as well, chef. I hung up. For exactly 8 seconds, no one moved. Then chaos. Let me take you back 18 months. I met Vanessa Prescott at a food and wine festival in Napa. She was there with her company, some tech firm that did something with data analytics, and I was there as a guest chef doing a demonstration on molecular gastronomy techniques. She was beautiful, confident. She laughed at my jokes about spherification and understood the chemistry I was explaining. After my demo, she found me at the bar. That was incredible, she said. Where do you cook? I should have been honest then. Should have told her I owned 3 restaurants and was in the process of opening a 4th. Should have mentioned that Food and Wine had called me the most innovative chef under 40 in American fine dining, but I was tired. Tired of people treating me differently when they found out. Tired of gold diggers and social climbers and people who saw me as a stepping stone to free reservations and Instagram content. I work in the industry, I said vaguely. Cooking is my passion. We dated for 4 months before I met her family. That should have been my first warning. Beatrice Prescott opened the door to their Greenwich estate wearing what I'd later learn was a $12,000 Chanel suit. She looked me up and down like I was a suspicious package. You must be Alex. Vanessa said you were in food service? The way she said food service made it sound like I cleaned grease traps for a living. I'm a chef. How lovely. Like those celebrity people on television? Sort of. Dinner that night was catered by some society chef who charged $500 per person for what amounted to overcooked beef and under-seasoned vegetables. I said nothing, but Beatrice noticed me pushing food around my plate. Not to your standards, Alex? She said it sweetly, but her eyes were cold. It's wonderful, I lied. Chloe, Vanessa's younger sister, was 26 and worked in PR for a lifestyle brand. She spent the entire meal talking about influencers I'd never heard of and restaurants I'd actually consulted for. We're on the list at Étoile, she bragged. 6-month wait, but Daddy knows people. I almost said, I know people too. I'm the owner. But something stopped me. After dinner, when Vanessa and I were alone, she kissed me. Thank you for being nice to my family. I know they can be a lot. They seem to think I'm a line cook at Denny's. She laughed. Does it matter? You know who you are. But I didn't correct the assumption. And that was my mistake. The engagement happened fast. 6 months of dating, and Vanessa proposed at the French Laundry. Ironic, considering I'd trained under Thomas Keller for 2 years. I said yes because I loved her. Because she made me laugh. Because when it was just us, she saw me. I thought I could keep the two worlds separate. I was wrong. The wedding was at the Prescott estate. I offered to pay. I had more money than Vanessa's entire family combined, but Beatrice insisted. We want to give our daughter the wedding she deserves, she said. Unless you have some hidden fortune we don't know about? She laughed like it was a joke. I paid for our honeymoon instead. 2 weeks in Japan, eating at every 3-star restaurant in Tokyo and Kyoto. Vanessa loved it. She thought I was going into debt for her. I wasn't. I was worth $23 million, but I didn't tell her. After the wedding, the comments started. When are you going to get a real job, Alex? Beatrice would ask at family dinners. Cooking is a real job. I mean a career, something stable. Vanessa deserves security. Chloe was worse. Maybe you could work at that new Whole Foods? They have a prepared food section. I bet they're hiring. Trevor, Chloe's husband, worked in finance. He made $340,000 a year and never let anyone forget it. No shame in honest work, he'd say, clapping me on the shoulder. Not everyone can be successful. Someone has to flip burgers. I'd smile, nod, let them think what they wanted. Meanwhile, I was running 4 restaurants grossing $47 million annually. Year 1 of marriage, I kept up the charade. I'd leave the house at 6 a.m., telling Vanessa I was working at a restaurant downtown, which was true, just not in the capacity she imagined. Étoile was my flagship. I'd opened it 3 years before meeting Vanessa, secured a 3 Michelin-star rating in 18 months, nearly unheard of for an American chef under 40. Food critics called it transcendent. Zagat rated it the #1 restaurant in the state. Le Jardin Noir came next. 2 Michelin stars, farm-to-table concept with a 6-acre garden I'd designed personally. Then Saffron and Sage, modern Indian fusion that won James Beard for Best New Restaurant. Finally, the Copper Vine, wine bar and small plates. Only 1 Michelin star, but it was profitable within 6 months. I employed 247 people across 4 locations. I was on the board of the Culinary Institute. I'd been offered my own show on Netflix 3 times, and my wife's family thought I couldn't hold down a job at Applebee's. At first, it was almost funny. Beatrice would give me job listings she'd found for sous chef positions at country clubs. Chloe would send me links to great opportunities at catering companies. You have to start somewhere, she'd say encouragingly. Then it started to hurt. Family dinners where Trevor would talk about his investments and Beatrice would ask Vanessa, not me, about our financial planning. You're being so generous, supporting Alex while he finds himself, Beatrice said once. Very modern of you. Vanessa would squeeze my hand under the table. Alex works hard. He's talented. Oh, I'm sure he is, dear. But talent doesn't pay the mortgage. I'd paid off our mortgage in cash 6 months after we'd bought the house. Vanessa thought her Christmas bonus had covered it. The breaking point started 3 months ago. Vanessa and I were having breakfast when she mentioned her family was coming for Thanksgiving. All of them? I asked. Mom, Dad, Chloe, Trevor, and Aunt Margot. 6 people total. I'll cook. She looked up from her phone. Are you sure? Maybe we should just cater something. You've been so stressed with job hunting. I wasn't job hunting. I'd been in Paris the previous week consulting for a restaurant group that wanted to open in Manhattan. They'd offered me $2.5 million as a signing bonus. I'd said no. I want to cook, I said. It's Thanksgiving. Let me do this. She kissed my forehead. Okay, but nothing too fancy, all right? You know how Chloe is about experimental food. Chloe thought arugula was experimental. I planned the menu anyway. Heritage turkey with herb butter, truffle demi-glace, roasted root vegetables with miso brown butter, sourdough stuffing with duck confit, pumpkin panna cotta with bourbon caramel. The ingredients cost $2,100. $8. I woke up at 3:47 a.m. on Thanksgiving morning, started the turkey prep, made the stock from scratch, roasted bones, aromatics, reduced for 8 hours. The truffle demi-glace alone took 6 hours. White truffle from Piedmont, veal stock, 20-year aged balsamic, butter from a specific farm in Normandy. It was the same sauce that had won Étoile its third Michelin star. Food and Wine had called it liquid gold that tastes like autumn distilled into divine essence. By 2 p.m., I had everything ready. The house smelled incredible. The family arrived at 3:30 p.m. Beatrice walked in, looked around, and said, "It smells very strong. Did you burn something?" "That's the truffle," I said. "Oh, how ambitious." They sat down at 4 p.m. I served the turkey, perfectly roasted, golden skin, internal temperature of 165 degrees exactly. Chloe cut a piece, took a bite, and made a face. "It's dry." It wasn't dry. It was textbook perfect. Trevor agreed. "Yeah, man. Little overcooked. Should have used a thermometer." I'd used 3 thermometers, but I said nothing. Then came the gravy. I brought out the sauce boat. The truffle aroma filled the dining room. Chloe immediately wrinkled her nose. "What is that smell?" "Truffle demi-glace. It smells rotten. It's white truffle from Italy. It's supposed to be pungent." She poured some on her plate anyway, took a bite, and spat it into my napkin. "You canceled our reservation?" Chloe shrieked, standing up so fast her chair fell backward. "Who the hell do you think you are?" "I just told you I'm the owner." "This is a sick joke," Beatrice said, her voice shaking. "David, tell him to stop this nonsense. We've waited 6 months for that table." My father-in-law David had been quiet through most of dinner. Now he looked at me with narrowed eyes. "This is quite a story, Alex, but we know you're unemployed. Vanessa told us." "Vanessa thinks I'm unemployed because I let her think that." Vanessa was staring at me like I was a stranger. "Alex, what's going on?" "Call them," I said to Chloe. "Call Étoile. Ask them to confirm." Chloe grabbed her phone, hands shaking. "I'll call them. I'll tell them you're a crazy ex-employee making prank calls. Watch me." She dialed. Put it on speaker to prove her point. The phone rang twice. "Good evening. Thank you for calling Étoile," a woman's voice answered. Professional, warm. "This is Simone speaking. How may I help you?" "Hi, this is Chloe Prescott," she said, using her sweetest voice, the one she used with customer service workers and parking attendants. "Someone just canceled my reservation as a prank. I have a table for 6 at 8 p.m. tonight. I'm calling to confirm we're still in the system." Pause. I could hear typing. "Ms. Prescott," Simone's voice turned to ice. "I see the cancellation here. It came directly from the executive office at 4:47 p.m. The reservation has been canceled and your party has been flagged in our system." "What? That's impossible. I made that reservation 6 months ago. I want to speak to the manager." The general manager, Philippe Girard, entered the notation on direct orders from the owner. "Your party has been permanently banned from all Obsidian Hospitality Group properties." "Banned?" "Yes, ma'am. For abusive behavior toward culinary staff. We cannot and will not host you tonight or any future night. Please do not come to the venue, or security will escort you from the premises. Is there anything else I can help you with? But thank you for calling. Have a pleasant evening." Click. Chloe stared at her phone like it had physically slapped her. The room was silent except for the sound of Aunt Margot's shocked breathing. "The owner?" Vanessa whispered. She was looking at me, really looking at me, maybe for the first time in 18 months. "Alex, what's going on?" I took a breath, let it out slowly. "I own the Obsidian Hospitality Group," I said. "Étoile is my flagship restaurant. I opened it 3 years ago. I'm the executive chef and majority shareholder of 4 of the top-rated restaurants in this region." "No," Chloe was shaking her head. "You're lying. You wear sweatpants. You don't have a job." "I wear sweatpants because I stand on my feet 16 hours a day running a $47 million business. And I have a herniated disc from years of kitchen work. So I wear comfortable clothes when I'm not in chef whites." I pointed to the gravy boat. "And this dog food? This dollar store garbage? This is the truffle demi-glace that won Étoile its 3rd Michelin star 8 months ago. Food and Wine called it liquid gold. Zagat called it the finest sauce in American fine dining. It costs $175 per serving." Trevor's face had gone pale. 3 Michelin stars? 3 stars. 18 months after opening. I'm one of 12 chefs in the country to achieve that. Beatrice was gripping the table. "But the money? You don't have money. Vanessa pays for everything. I'm worth $23 million, Beatrice. I bought this house. I paid off the mortgage 2 years ago, in cash. I let you think Vanessa was paying for it because your ego couldn't handle the truth." "That's a lie," David said, but his voice wavered. I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app, turned it toward them. The screen showed my primary checking account, $847,392.16. "That's just my operating account," I said. "The one I use for daily expenses and ingredient purchases." Vanessa's hand went to her mouth. I opened another app, my investment portfolio, $22.3 million. "Oh my God," Vanessa breathed. Beatrice's face had turned red. "Alex, darling, we were just joking. You know how we are. We like to tease. The gravy is delicious." She grabbed her fork, shoveled cold gravy into her mouth, forced a smile. "See? Wonderful. So sophisticated." "Chloe, apologize," Vanessa hissed. "Right now." Chloe looked at her phone, at the band notification, at her designer dress, the one she'd bought specifically for Instagram photos at étoile. I didn't mean it, she stammered. It was just a joke. Can you fix it, please? My friends will be there tonight. If I don't show up, I'll look like an idiot. You are an idiot, Chloe, I said calmly. But that's not why you're banned. You're banned because you're cruel. Because you take pleasure in making people feel small. Because you spat food into my napkin that took me 6 hours to make. Trevor cleared his throat. Alex, buddy, come on. We're family. Families joke around. We're not family, Trevor. We're relatives by marriage. Family doesn't mock someone's work. Family doesn't treat someone like a failure because they don't understand what that person does. I picked up my wallet, pulled out a $20 bill, crumpled it up, tossed it onto the destroyed turkey carcass. For the pizza. Pepperoni, right? That's about your speed. I walked to the door. Alex, wait, Vanessa started. No, I said. I'm done waiting. I'm done pretending. I'm done being the joke at your family's table. I looked at Beatrice. You want to know why I never told you? This is why. Because the second you knew I had money, you'd start treating me like a bank account instead of a person. This way, I got to see who you really are. We didn't know, Beatrice protested. If we'd known, you'd have been nice to me? That's exactly the problem. I grabbed my coat from the closet. Where are you going? Vanessa asked, tears in her eyes. To work. We have a full house tonight, and my team needs me. On Thanksgiving? We're open every day. That's how Michelin stars work. I walked out, got in my car, a used Honda Civic I'd bought specifically because it didn't attract attention, and drove to Étoile. The restaurant was everything my in-laws' house wasn't. Clean, professional, filled with people who respected the craft. Philippe met me at the back entrance. Chef, I wasn't expecting you tonight. Change of plans. Is the kitchen good? Running perfectly. Jenna has it under control. Jenna Park, my head chef at Étoile, 28 years old, trained at Le Bernardin, Michelin-star level talent. I'd hired her 18 months ago, and she'd been instrumental in maintaining our 3rd star. I'm going to change into a kitchen check anyway. I went to my office, changed into my chef whites. The familiar weight of the jacket settled on my shoulders like armor. I walked into the kitchen at 6:47 p.m. 43 people working in perfect synchronization. The symphony of a high-level kitchen. The sizzle of pans, the calls of behind and corner, the focused intensity. This was home. Chef on the floor, someone called. Jenna looked up from her station. Chef, what are you doing here? Couldn't stay away. How's service? We're slammed. Full house. Every table booked. I walked the line. Checked temps. Tasted sauces. Approved plates. Everything was perfect. At 7:15 p.m., Philippe found me at the pass. Chef, there's a situation. What kind? The Prescott party just arrived. They're demanding to be seated despite the ban. My stomach dropped. Where are they? Front entrance? Making a scene. I walked to the front of house. Through the dining room. Elegant. Hushed. Every table filled with people who'd waited months for this experience. At the host stand, Chloe was arguing with Simone. Beatrice stood behind her, face flushed. Trevor was trying to look intimidating, which wasn't working. Don't care what your system says, Chloe was saying. We have a reservation. Check again. Simone, 24 years old with 6 years of high-end hospitality experience, remained perfectly composed. Ma'am, as I explained on the phone, your party has been banned. This is discrimination. I'll call my lawyer. Is there a problem? I said. Chloe spun around. Alex, thank God. Tell them there's been a mistake. There's no mistake. You're banned. But we're here. We're dressed. Our friends are waiting. I looked past them. Through the glass doors, I could see a group of people in expensive clothes watching the scene unfold. Your friends can go to Applebee's with you, I said. Simone, if they don't leave in the next 60 seconds, call security. You can't do this, Beatrice hissed. This is abuse. You're abusing your power. No, Beatrice. I'm protecting my establishment. You have 50 seconds. A man in a suit approached. Leonard Torres, our head of security. Former Secret Service, 6'4", completely professional. Folks, I need you to exit the premises, he said calmly. This is my son-in-law's restaurant, Beatrice protested. Then he's the one asking you to leave. Let's go. Trevor tried to get in Leonard's face. We spent $4,000 on this reservation. You can't just... Actually, we don't charge for reservations, I said. That's how I know you're lying. Leonard gestured to the door. Now, please. They left. Chloe crying, Beatrice threatening lawsuits, Trevor still trying to look tough. Through the window, I watched them explain to their friends what had happened. Watched the friends look confused, embarrassed. Watched Chloe's social currency evaporate in real time. I went back to the kitchen. At 9:30 p.m., Vanessa texted, "We need to talk." I didn't respond. At 11:15 p.m., she called. I let it go to voicemail. Service ended at 11:47 p.m. We'd served 198 guests, 0 complaints, 3 proposals, 1 marriage anniversary celebration where the couple said it was the best meal of their lives. I broke down my station, thanked my team, and drove home at 1:23 a.m. Vanessa was waiting in the living room. She looked exhausted, makeup smudged from crying. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked immediately. I set down my keys. "Which part?" "Any of it. The restaurants, the money, the fact that you're apparently one of the most successful chefs in the region. Would it have mattered?" "Of course it would have mattered." "Why? Because you would have treated me better? Or because you would have bragged about it to your family?" She flinched. "That's not fair." "Fair," I laughed. It came out bitter. "Your sister spat my food into a napkin. Your mother has been giving me job listings for line cook positions for 2 years. Trevor has called me a burger flipper to my face at least 6 times, and you never once defended me. I didn't know they were that bad. You knew. You just didn't care because it wasn't about you. Silence. I do care about you, Vanessa said quietly. I love you. You love who you think I am. The struggling chef who needs your support, your charity case. That's not true. Then why did you never ask what I actually do? In 18 months, you never once asked to visit my work. Never asked for details. You just assumed I was failing and felt good about yourself for staying with me anyway. Her face crumpled. I did ask. You were always vague. Because I wanted you to love me for me, not for what I own or how much I'm worth. I sat down on the couch, suddenly exhausted. I wanted one person in my life who didn't see me as an achievement or a connection or a meal ticket. I'm not like my family. Aren't you? You let them treat me like garbage for 2 years. You laughed when Trevor made jokes about me finding myself. You apologized to your mother when I couldn't make her charity events instead of telling her I had actual work commitments. Vanessa wiped her eyes. I was trying to keep the peace. At my expense. We sat in silence. Finally, she said, "What now?" I don't know. I need time to think. Are you leaving me? I looked at her. Really looked at her. The woman I'd married. The woman who'd never defended me. The woman who'd let her family mock my food. Food that people paid $175 a plate to eat. I don't know, I said honestly. She nodded. Stood up. I'll sleep in the guest room. She left. I sat there until 3 a.m., watching the city lights through the window. The next morning, my phone was flooded with messages. Beatrice, we need to talk about what happened. This is unacceptable behavior. Chloe, you humiliated me in front of my friends. I'll never forgive you. Trevor, real mature, buddy. Way to use your power to bully people. I deleted them all. Then I called my lawyer, Patricia Okonkwo, 39, Harvard Law, 15 years specializing in entertainment and hospitality law. She'd handled all my restaurant contracts, my partnership agreements, everything. Alex, happy Thanksgiving. What's wrong? I need to discuss my marriage, specifically asset protection. Are you getting divorced? Maybe. I don't know yet, but I need to understand my options. We talked for an hour. She explained prenups. We didn't have one. Explained community property laws. Explained what a divorce might look like. How much are you worth? She asked. $23 million, roughly, plus the restaurants. And Vanessa, she makes $140,000 a year, some stock options. Alex, in this state, she could be entitled to half of everything you earned during the marriage. My stomach dropped. Even though she had nothing to do with building the business, if you can prove the businesses were started before marriage and she contributed nothing to their growth, you might be able to protect them, but it's complicated. What do you recommend? Talk to her. See if you can work it out. If not, document everything. Every instance of her family's treatment. Every time she failed to support your work. Build a case that she was actively detrimental to your success. I thanked her and hung up. 2 weeks passed. Vanessa and I barely spoke. We moved around each other like strangers in our own house. I threw myself into work, spent 18-hour days at the restaurants, developed new menus, trained new staff. I didn't go to the Prescott family Christmas, didn't even pretend to consider it. Beatrice sent a long email about healing and family and how I was tearing everyone apart. I didn't respond. Then on December 15th, something changed. I was at Etoile doing prep for dinner service when Philippe found me. Chef, there's someone here to see you. Says it's important. Who? Arthur Goldstein from the Michelin Guide. My heart stopped. Arthur Goldstein was the regional director for Michelin, the man who coordinated star ratings, the most powerful person in fine dining. He was sitting in my office when I arrived. 67 years old, impeccable suit, expression unreadable. Mr. Goldstein, I said, this is unexpected. Chef Torres, thank you for seeing me. He stood, shook my hand. I'll get right to the point. We've received complaints about Etoile. My stomach dropped. What kind of complaints? Allegations of discrimination, banning guests based on personal grievances, using your position to settle family disputes. Chloe, it had to be. With all due respect, sir, I banned a party for abusive behavior toward my staff and food. They spat food into a napkin and called it dog food. That's your side of the story. They're claiming you banned them because they criticized your cooking, that you can't handle professional feedback. Professional feedback? They thought I was unemployed. They were mocking me as a person, not critiquing my technique. Goldstein leaned back. Chef Torres, Michelin stars aren't just about food. They're about hospitality, professionalism, the entire experience. If you're using your position to punish people who hurt your feelings, hurt my feelings? My voice rose. They spent 2 years telling me I was a failure, mocking my career, treating me like I was worthless. And when I finally told them the truth, they showed up at my restaurant to make a scene. I protected my establishment and my team. That may be true, but it looks bad, and perception matters in this industry. He stood up. We're opening a formal review of Etoile's practices. I suggest you prepare documentation, guest feedback, staff testimonials, any evidence that supports your version of events. Are you threatening to remove our stars? I'm saying your reputation is under scrutiny. Act accordingly. He left. I sat in my office, hands shaking. Everything I'd built, everything I'd worked for, at risk because I'd finally stood up for myself. I called an emergency meeting with my management team. Philippe, Jenna, Leonard, and Simone, the core leadership of Etoile. We have a problem, I said, and explained the situation. Jenna was the first to speak. That's insane. You banned them for legitimate reasons. Michelin doesn't care about reasons. They care about reputation. So what do? Philippe asked. We document everything, every interaction with with that family. Every witness, every piece of evidence that proves they were abusive. Leonard pulled out his phone. I have security footage from the night they tried to force their way in. Clear audio of the threats and insults. Perfect. Simone, pull up every positive review we've received in the past year. Every compliment. Every perfect service record. On it. We spent 6 hours building a case. By midnight, I had security footage of the Prescott family's behavior, 847 5-star reviews from verified guests, testimonials from staff about the family's treatment of me, financial records showing zero discrimination in our booking practices, documentation of my professional achievements. I sent it all to Patricia Okonkwo. This is solid, she said. But Alex, there's a problem. What? This is your family, your wife's family. This makes you look vindictive. I'm protecting my business. I know, but to an outside observer, you look like a rich guy punishing his in-laws for not respecting him. It's not a good look. So what am I supposed to do? Let them destroy my reputation? No. You fight back with grace. You show that you're the bigger person. How? She paused. You offer to lift the ban. Absolutely not. Hear me out. You lift the ban publicly. You make a statement about misunderstandings and family dynamics. You take the high road. Then when they inevitably can't afford to actually eat at your restaurant, because let's be honest, they can't, you look magnanimous and they look petty. I hated that it made sense. December 20th, I issued a statement through Etoile's official channels. Due to recent family discussions, the reservation restrictions on the Prescott party have been lifted. Etoile remains committed to providing world-class hospitality to all guests who share our values of respect and appreciation for the culinary arts. The statement went semi-viral in foodie circles. Eater picked it up. Chef Alex Torres lifts ban on family members following Thanksgiving dispute. Food and Wine. Michelin-star chef extends olive branch and family feud. The comments were split. Some people praised my professionalism. Others called me weak, but Michelin noticed. Arthur Goldstein sent a brief email. Professional response. Review ongoing. Christmas Eve. Vanessa asked if we could talk. We sat in the living room, coffee going cold between us. I've been thinking, she said, about us, about what happened. And I was wrong. Not just about not defending you, about not seeing you, really seeing you. She wiped her eyes. I got so caught up in what my family thought in managing their expectations that I forgot to be your partner. Yeah, I want to fix this if you'll let me. I looked at my wife, the woman I'd married, the woman who'd let her family treat me like garbage for 2 years, but who was maybe finally willing to change. It's going to take time, I said, and therapy. Lots of therapy. I know. And your family is banned from our house indefinitely. She nodded. I already told them. Mom is furious. I don't care what your mom thinks. I know. That's good. I should have said that years ago. We sat in silence. I still love you, Vanessa said quietly. I know. I love you too. But love isn't enough. We need respect, boundaries, honesty. I'm willing to work for that. Okay, then we try. 6 months later. Etoile passed the Michelin review with flying colors. Maintained all 3 stars. Arthur Goldstein personally called to congratulate me. You handled that situation with remarkable professionalism, he said. Not many chefs could have navigated those waters so gracefully. Thank you, sir. Keep up the excellent work, Chef Torres. Vanessa and I were in couples therapy, making progress. Slowly, she'd set boundaries with her family, told them they needed to apologize to me or she was done with them. They refused. She chose me. It was the first time in our relationship I'd felt like I mattered more than their approval. And the Thanksgiving gravy? I added it to Etoile's permanent tasting menu. $175 per serving. It sold out every night. Because the people who mattered, the people who actually appreciated craft and dedication and artistry, they understood what it was worth. And the people who didn't, well, they could always order pizza. I crumpled up a $20 bill and left it on the check when I finally sent Arthur Goldstein a bottle of that white truffle demi-glace as a thank you gift. He called it liquid poetry, just like Food and Wine had. The band stands. My marriage is healing. My restaurants are thriving. And I never have to pretend to be small again.